Bloober Team's chief marketing officer says that Silent Hill 2 won't miss the point. She says Konami decided to go with Bloober's pitch because their pitch is, quote, faithfully sticking to the traditional story canon while remaking the gameplay and updating the graphics from the ground up, end quote. This is the right direction for Silent Hill, this remake. Keep the story, modernize the gameplay. We don't need a Final Fantasy VII like remake. The reason why Final Fantasy VII Remake exists is because that one felt outdated. Turn based mechanics, old graphics, story needed to be told different. It needed a refresh. This needs to be more like Resident Evil 4 Remake or the Dead Space Remake. Update the gameplay, maybe add some context to the story. Everything else, you don't really touch it. Update the graphics, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, remember at the time, the era of creating video games was different. The amount of space you had was different. So many things that may have limited the original developers. Maybe now Bloober can expand on that without touching the original spirit of Silent Hill. The Bloober team needs to execute this. It sounds great. It sounds great what they're saying, but they do still need to execute. Despite their mediocrity, which is what I know the concern is for people, I do think they can do this. And they can do this because they're not creating something from scratch. This is a restoration project. Stuff like the Resident Evil 4 remake or the Dead Space remake. That's how I feel about these. These are restoration projects. These aren't rebuilding from the ground up, even though uh, structurally that is what's happening. The Dead Space remake, for example, is rebuilt from the ground up, but this is a restoration project, a way to make a great game that hasn't aged as well, although I do think Dead Space has aged rather well. But still, it could use a bit of modernization, which this is something games will struggle with for a long time until we can get the graphics and all that stuff squared away to the point where we won't have to think about those things. But this isn't Blair Witch. This isn't Bloober making Blair Witch. This isn't Bloober taking a movie and figuring out the gameplay where the gameplay doesn't exist, trying to recreate that spirit in something that was more 2.5 hours, and this is supposed to be something that is a little bit longer. This is already set for them. Everything is set for them. The atmosphere, the characters, the story, the gameplay mechanics, all those things are already there. They don't have to think of anything extra. Now, yes, I'm not saying there's no creativity. I'm not saying it's not difficult because you still have to nail it, but we can admit it's not as difficult. Everything is already there. Now they just have to figure out how to interpret it and make it good for those who already enjoy Silent Hill and for those who have not played it or haven't played it in a really long time. At the end of the day, all we want to see is competence. Can Bloober show us that competence? And the only way I think they're going to be able to show us that competence is keeping us updated over the course of the entire development. We can't go very long stretches without seeing gameplay. We can't have very long stretches without having a developer blog. We need some story trailers. We need to see that Bloober truly understands what they're making and what they're doing. If they can do that, if they give us those updates, and it is what we hope the Silent Hill 2 remake can be by Bloober, then that's only going to increase our confidence, which is going to increase our excitement for the game, which is exactly what Bloober and Konami wants. Keep in mind, this is the pitch that Konami accepted. So Konami likes what Bloober presented. Out of all the developers, I don't know how many there were, but out of all the developers, they liked Bloober's pitch best. And their best pitch was faithfully sticking to the traditional story canon while remaking the gameplay and updating the graphics from the ground up. This is good. They're going in the right direction. If we look at the first trailer that they showed, it looks like a promising direction. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt for now. But They're going to have to start showing us some stuff, I would say, this year. I don't know what time this year. I don't want to say in the next few months, but this year, we're going to start needing to see some stuff, developer blogs, gameplay, story trailers, something that lets us know, Bloober, all right, you got this thing. What do you think? How do you feel about the Silent Hill 2 remake? What do you feel about the developer comments on this? Do you think they're going in the right direction? Do you think they need to go in a different direction? Are you hoping for something more in line with Final Fantasy VII Remake? Or are you happy with more something like Dead Space? Let me know. You know how YouTube works. Put your thoughts in the comments, tap whatever thumb you like, and subscribe as well to get more updates on this, as well as other various video game things. I'll talk to you later.